I used to say that my humility was the thing that I was most proud of, which was just a stupid joke. But the truth is, I think we all struggle with humility. And I also think that being on a church staff, in my opinion, is one of the closest things to being a celebrity that a person can experience, which may sound kind of silly, but that is not always a good thing necessarily. So today is not really about marketing. Usually, I'm coming to you with marketing tips, and I apologize. My dogs are in the background. They're scared of it's thundering outside, so you may hear my dogs breathing, or they may bark at the Amazon truck or something like that. So I apologize in advance. But today's not really about marketing. I want to talk about humility just for a second, and not because I'm awesome at it. In fact, I'm pretty terrible at humility, and it's a daily struggle, something I have to pray through quite a bit. But I just think, especially for people on a church staff, being on a church staff is weird. Being, especially like pastoral staff, where you're on the stage quite a bit. You've got an influence over a lot of people. So I think coming with being on a stage, depending on the size of your church and depending on the size of your town, I'm out here in kind of between the suburbs and rural Georgia, um, and so we're in the Bible Belt. So pastors are, it's you're proud to be a pastor. You're proud to be a youth pastor, or a worship pastor, something like that. And you're gonna get recognized at the grocery store, stuff like that. And a lot of times, depending on the size of your church, it's going to be you may be recognized, but you don't know the person that recognizes you. And I mean, I've stood in the grocery store and talked to people for 5-10 minutes and without having a clue who they were, and just having to smile and nod and pretend like I knew what in the world they were talking about. It felt terrible, and all that sounds silly, and I know that is nothing like being a real celebrity. I'm not trying to say that or even sound arrogant in this, but it's just one of those experiences, and I think it's hard to keep your ego in check. It got easier as I got older, but part of that problem was almost also that I was probably becoming a little bit cynical too, and that's another episode. But I definitely just didn't read this in a book somewhere about someone else's struggle. This was a real deal in my life, and again, like I said, it's still something that I have to work through every day. But I'm not so sure that anyone is really designed to be famous. I don't know that that's just really what God had intended. It just never seems to work out well for most people. I'm sure some people can handle it. There are guys that have handled it. Billy Graham handled it well, as far as we know, right? So, and if I had a chance to be famous, I doubt I'd be like, nope, not going to do it. I doubt I would turn it down, but I would definitely have a hard time being famous. And I just, again, I don't know anybody who's just built for a ton of attention from people who don't really know them, and know how messed up they truly are, and know, their struggles and their warts and all their problems. I even had a time where, and again, this is dumb. My wife picks on me for this, and so does my team that works with me at FaithWorks. But I was walking my dogs. I walk my dogs every morning through the neighborhood, and I was walking up the hill, and this plumbing van rode by kind of slow, and it was a little weird. And they stopped when they got past me, and that was weird. So I was kind of getting a little bit nervous, like, is this they about to rob me in my neighborhood with a marked van with a logo on it? They start backing up towards me, and so I'm just kind of looking. Again, my heart's racing a little bit. I'm getting nervous. My dogs are um, golden doodles, and so they're not going to be any help. And he backs up and he rolls out, or he rolls the window down and says, "Hey, are you John O. Long?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, I've seen your stuff on Facebook." I'm like, "Oh, really?" I thought maybe he saw an ad. I'm like, "How did you see an ad or something?" He's like, "No, I just saw some of your videos." I'm like, "Well, I'm sorry." But he was like, "No, they're funny, whatever." He was nice about it. And then he was like, "All right, have a good day." And so I left, and so I'm walking, and I immediately text my wife. I'm like, "Hey, babe, I just got recognized in the neighborhood for my social media videos," and of course she's making fun of me. And but even with that, you get a little puffed up. Like, that was fun that somebody recognized you from some stupid video you made. But again, I cannot imagine, like, if everywhere you went, like, like if you were a Taylor Swift, or I cannot imagine if everywhere I went, you had that recognition, and not just recognition, people wanting to talk to you, people wanting their picture with you, and all that stuff. I just, again, no one's really designed to handle that. You may want to argue with that, and I'd be interested to hear that. But it just can't be good for your ego. Colossians 3:12 says, "Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourself with righteousness and compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience." So the Bible talks about it several times over in First Peter. He even mentions, be clothed with humility, like wear it. It needs to cover you. Humility needs to cover your whole self and your actions. They need to be clothed and have humility just all over them. I think if we're honest and think through every dumb thing we've done, every selfish thing that we've done, every, if you've hurt somebody's feelings, you've hurt someone just, emotionally, whatever, most of our problems, dumb decisions, bad decisions, selfish decisions, I think they can all, for the most part, be traced back to a lack of humility on our part, a lack of considering others before we consider ourselves. James 4:6 says, "God opposes the proud and the proud or the arrogant." And if you believe God's real, then I think you want to find out what He wants from you. And I certainly don't want to be opposed by Him. So I need humility. You need humility, and we just, especially as if you're a pastoral staff and you're getting a lot of attention, a lot of pats on the back, and some of you are probably thinking, "No, I wish I would get some pats on the back. I wish somebody would encourage me." And I get that too, because it is a struggle. Ministry is ecstasy and agony. There's a lot of hurt, but there's a lot of good stuff that comes with it. But two quick things I would say, just for everybody, whether you're struggling with an ego issue now or not. You probably have before, or you may be right now, or you will in the future, until you get to heaven. But I would say two things. One, just guard your time with the Lord. Read verses about humility. When it's becoming a problem, and you just walk with Jesus, and hide His word in your heart, especially these verses about humility. And those are the verses that will pop in your head when you're struggling. Hopefully, no verse that I've never read before is ever popped into my head, right? I've got to read it. So I've got to be in the Bible. I've got to read the word. So I would encourage you, and that's not revolutionary. It's not like you've never heard anyone tell you to read your Bible before. So I get it. This is just a friendly reminder. Second thing I would say, and this was huge for me, maybe doesn't work for everybody, but you need to give somebody permission to tell you that your ego is getting out of check. And others will see it before you do, for sure. But they may not be okay saying something, and it may be, and this could be your friends, or if you're married, probably should be your spouse. But you've almost got to give them permission. If you're a pouter, or you tend to, I don't necessarily explode and get angry, or like if my feelings are hurt. I tend to sulk a little bit and just get quiet. And if you do that, or if you explode, or you argue and start a fight, if getting critiqued by a friend, or getting called out by your spouse, even when they do it with gentleness and kindness, and they love you, if they can't say anything without you just freaking out, or pushing back, or fighting, or they know you're going to pout for a few hours, eventually it's just not going to be worth a fight to them, and they're not going to do that. They're not going to call you out. And the truth is, you need that. I need that. I need my wife to feel like she's got permission to call me out when my ego is getting out of check, when I'm being a jerk, when I'm saying stuff. I've got a smart mouth on me, and my wife has told me many times that I've hurt people's feelings. I had no clue. So I just need that in my life. So I hope that helps. Ministry's tough, no doubt. I'm praying for you. Humility is probably even tougher. I don't know. But you definitely need humility to survive and be effective in ministry. And so I hope that this helps you out a little bit.